Our guest today is James Rigoni. He is a local filmmaker here in Shepparton, an extraordinaire in all sorts of aspects of filmmaking. He's recently won a position in the local Shepparton Shorts, his film Having a Larp, and we'll be talking to him today about all those sort of things and his plans for the future. Welcome aboard, James.
Hi, Dave. It's great to be here.
Oh, great. I'm very happy that you've joined us. Just to give the listeners a bit of background knowledge of who you are and what you're about.
So I am a filmmaker. I cross many different departments, I suppose. I enjoy the prop making and the set design and stuff like that, as well as costume. And then also in the post-production phase, I really enjoy VFX as well as sound editing, sound mixing, and also visual editing. And I'm on set. I'm probably, I love being a production assistant, just a general helping out. I've recently sort of dabbled in being an assistant director, which is first assistant director, which is responsible for making sure everything runs to schedule. And I think down the line, I really just want to be a director of big things where I can just go crazy with ideas and stuff like that. I mean, don't we all really want to just go crazy with our ideas? I've been studying a Bachelor of Creative Arts in Film and Television since 2015. I took a gap year in 2014, graduated high school in 2013, and in my later years of high school, I did media classes for my VCE because I really couldn't see myself doing anything else.
Yeah, okay. Yep, that's fantastic. Your recent film, Having a Larp, give us an insight into what that's all about.
Oh, having a larp. So actually, funny story is that was actually a school project for my Bachelor of Creative Arts when I was at JMC Academy. It was a trimester 2 first year project. We had to create a documentary, and I chose to do it on the LARP Club in Shepparton because I just found logistically that was the easiest thing for me to do. As well as there wasn't very much work involved for me to do the research and stuff like that because I have been a member of that club since 2013, and I knew everybody there and was on good terms with them. So I decided, it's a great opportunity to interview them because a few of them had moved to Melbourne since finishing high school and stuff. So it was very easy to move equipment from JMC Academy in South Melbourne to their houses, whether it be, Dandenong or Preston, or it's a lot easier than trying to move out to Shepparton or somewhere else. Yeah.
Okay. That must be a big advantage to have that facility as far as with the role playing. Now you guys get to meet every Sunday at the Botanical Gardens.
Yeah, the LARP Club holds events every Sunday at the Botanical Gardens from 12 noon until about 4 p.m. And they consist of 4 quests that the players involved in this physical activity would go on to. And LARP is live action role play, so it's like Dungeons and Dragons or role playing games like Skyrim or Elder Scrolls or World of Warcraft, except you're doing it live action, which is with your body, and you go out there with foam swords which are perfectly safe, and you go and hit people, beat them up. It's a great way to relieve anger and stress, and at the same time escape, because you've got these characters that you role play as, and it's basically a great escapism.
Yeah, absolutely. That came in handy when you did the film Remember.
Oh,
Which my daughter keeps going on about because we were involved with that and very privileged
no way.
to give you a hand.
She's still going on about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, not long ago she asked about it and she couldn't find it on YouTube.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, Remember was my Year 12 VCE short film. And honestly, at the time, I didn't know that much about filmmaking. And being a VCE project, we had to do most of the work ourselves. When realistically, when you're working on film sets and stuff like that, the work is spread between, 10 people on average, and it shows. It like the quality of work shows. It being a VCU film, it's honestly like reflecting back on it, not that great. It could have been a lot better. But no, that's pretty cool. She's still interested in it.
Yeah, and you know, between filmmakers, a lot of the time it's the content. We all understand how hard it is to get your vision on screen, especially when you're working on a micro budget. But it's the intent and the content that's within that. And a lot of independent filmmakers can see past, you know, the cheapness of it.
Definitely.
You know, and then there's of course your all your put me downs on the internet, which probably don't. Well, a lot of people do make their own short films, but a lot of them trolls tend to give their input, which is can be quite negative. And you know, you can either take that as, well, you don't know anything, but you know, you don't know me, or how we did our film. You know, you can go on about how people will put you down for no reason at all. That can give you either the strength to pursue something bigger, or it can make you quit. And even with all the bad luck that you can have on set, you know, speaking from experience, I've had several short films that have just fallen flat. You've put your time and effort into it, and then it just falls down around you.
It is really heartbreaking when that happens, but you've got to think of it as a learning experience, I suppose. Rome wasn't built in a day is a really good saying, because it very accurately describes film as a career. Okay, I've left it at I've left it at 4, so I can just pick up and we can cut that out.
Yep. Go whenever you're ready.
Yeah. I'm going blank. I was building this all up and I've just gone blank.
That's all right. So yeah, we're talking about.
So Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah, 'cause it's okay.
But
I've got it.
it's the picking yourself up. It's falling forward.
I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about the experience. You've got to be able to figure out how your ideas work in your own mind, and this is about building your own style, I suppose, and putting it to the test. And a lot of, like, with the trolls and stuff, you know, they're expecting Hollywood level things, and they don't. A lot of the time, they probably wouldn't understand how film and television works. And when you are working on a shoestring budget, pretty much you're trying to find what you have and then fitting it into an idea, which is kind of the reverse of how it works in Hollywood and stuff like that, where you would have the idea, you would work out how it's viable, and if you have the budget, you'd build around that, you know. And you've got the backings of businesses and stuff like that that would love to see your film, and that's, you know, the basis of it all. It's basically just about selling ideas and getting people on your side. Even when you've got the story and you're putting it out there, you're trying to hook your audience in. You're trying to sell the idea of your film as a great film and keep them going. And a lot of the times they do want your film to be as good as it can be as they're watching it. It's a massive psychological game, and you know, I think only experience and study, not so much study by the book, but just, you know, watching films. Quentin, I'm pretty sure Tarantino, if I'm not mistaken, didn't go to film school. He was.
That's correct. Or his mate Robert Rodriguez. Yeah, you don't know Robert Rodriguez?
Oh, I've heard the name. But like he worked in a video store, you know, he didn't go to film school.
That's right.
He watched films and learnt how to make them that way. And that's probably, I think, what a lot of the trolls have in their mind. They have this idea of how films should be from what they're watching. And then here's this independent thing, which is, you know, just held together by it's held together by string, pretty much. And it could have fallen apart at any point, and here's this thing that someone's poured their heart and soul into. bottom line, don't get discouraged. I mean, when I was working as a production assistant for my internship with the ABC, I was like, a lot of the people there didn't go to film school. It was by word of mouth that they got in. Maybe their dad or their uncle or something knew someone in the industry. But like,
it helps.
It definitely helps. It definitely helps. And building networks and connections is definitely a big part of, I think, finding success in the industry. But what's Andrew, I can't remember his name. He was the second AD for the XPM Series 2, which was the TV show that I worked on. He said, just go for it. You don't know unless you go for it. And that's what he did with his industry work. He never went to film school. I hope I was right about that. It's been a while. It's been like a year.
Details.
Yeah, it's been like a year. April last year we were filming. Yeah, honestly, just go for it.
Yeah. Well, I went for it several years back, making a short film, Euphoria First Contact, which is behind you there.
I think I saw that, didn't I? Yeah, and I gave you some feedback. But honestly, back then I had no idea, how.
Yeah. I didn't know anybody. I did, but as far as production-wise, I was able to go through the local theatre company, Stag, and get my actors. But as a result, I did the writing, I wrote it, I did the camera, sound, directing, editing, and post-production side of things as well. I did the whole lot, but it certainly suffers. But I was able to get it done, just for having a crack.
Yeah, and it's always important to have that crack and to get that first start.
Yeah. So, and then from there, it was a bit of a gap where I didn't really get anything done. I'd probably had ideas and nothing came out of it. But I'd eventually wanted to make a type of not so much Mad Max, but something along those lines. I was given permission to use the yellow Mad Max Interceptor, who was owned.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it was owned by a police officer working in Numurkah. And from that, I'm like, okay, I've got, this car, so I'm going to write a script around having this car. I didn't want it to make it Mad Max because you'll get stuck in that triangle frame where it's like it can be cheap, but it can't be fast. It can be good and cheap.
Yeah. It can't be done fast. Yeah.
No, and it's not that. If it's fast, it's not necessarily going to be good.
No.
So from there, I wrote the script. I had no acquaintances more then. I was giving out my equipment to young filmmakers and just get out there, have a go, and I was enjoying seeing other people doing it, getting their movies done. One student was Jordan Wappel, who had won a competition over in America, and he ended up winning a scholarship.
Yeah, that name rings a bell.
Film scholarship, local. And he'd finished up on a film that he was shooting out at Dookie, and he brought the equipment back, and he said, "You'd never guess who I had on set with me today." And I go, "I don't know who." And he said, "Vince Gill." Now, not a lot of people know Vince Gill.
Yeah, I've got blank eyes right now. I have no idea who he is.
So he was the Knight Rider out of Mad Max.
Oh.
So...
have to be honest, I've never seen Mad Max.
Never seen Mad Max.
Yeah.
Okay, very much student film that did become one of the biggest independent movies. In cinema. It kicked off Mel Gibson, of course. Now I think it's a must for any filmmaker.
I'll have to watch it then
to see. I'll just give it to you. Shame on you. That's all right. No, it's a must see. But from there, I spent probably 4 years trying to get it made. The first shoot that we had, it was probably 6 years ago now. It got we had torrential rain on that weekend, so it was weather that broke the drought.
Yeah.
And completely stopped production.
Yeah, so that's another thing that trolls don't understand, is that anything can go wrong on set. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. You've always got to be prepared. But then again, torrential rain, you can't really be prepared.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
It's just, that's it.
It's you've got things hired out and you've spent money to have them hired out for that amount of time. And, you know, you can see it just crumbling all in front of you. And you're like, what do I do? You know, I've spent all this money and... You know, you either wear it and change your idea, or you know.
Yeah, well, that certainly made me more determined. I was like, you know, I sort of reflect back and think that I was unprepared, but I had a production company wanting to shoot it from Melbourne, Monster and Bear.
That's pretty good.
And then when it came round to shooting it the second time, I was more prepared. Had another production company, and I was executive producer financing it myself, and it would have been a lot better because we didn't have permits or anything to where we were going to shoot the first time. The second time around, we were more prepared. We were able to shoot out at the Dookie College.
Oh, yeah.
So had cast, crew, and we were shooting on Red Epic cameras.
Oh,
so
nice.
it was just like a dream come true. It was like, fantastic, here we go. This is happening. Now, for whatever reason, my producer at the time pulled out in the week leading up to the shoot. And that's not all. So half the crew went.
Whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah. And then Vince Gill, who was the main actor, he fell down a set of stairs.
Oh, no.
Broke his ribs and punctured his lung.
Oh, no.
So that was it. That was all over. I just had no money, and it just didn't happen.
So what happened with the crew? Was that all part of the one production company and they just backed out on the contract or something?
Well, I would certainly utilise people that weren't in the industry, that wanted to be in the industry. I also had film students. I also had people that were actually in the film industry helping.
So you've got a mishmash of everything.
I have a mishmash.
Sort of like a big experience project.
Yeah.
A bunch of people sort of backed out on a great opportunity, it sounds like.
That's right. Oh, well, I think so. But there was a lot of issues about doing the proper way of doing things.
Yeah. No.
So it got pretty messy towards the end.
Yeah, there is a protocol, and it has to be sort of strictly followed because it keeps everyone in line. When you think about a film set, it is very militaristic, and things are done in a certain order. You'll have, you know, you'll get your... Like I haven't been taught the explicit proper order, and I will need to get onto proper sets to work out that order. Generally with student films, it is sort of all done in a mush all at the same time. You've got people setting up lights, people working out camera angles, and doing the art department at the same time setting up the set. Whereas, you know, you'd want to have, you know, maybe you want to do the blocking first before people start moving in and working makeup with the actors and stuff like that. But once you've done the blocking, you're also working out the lighting and stuff like that and testing that out and doing rehearsals there, and then you bring the art department in and stuff. And then, you know, that way you've got everything how you want it to be. You'll see how that looks. You know, if you want to change it, you go away, you'll change it. And you'll come back and see how it looks. And when everything's ready to shoot, then you shoot, and it all needs to, like, you know, first AD calls quiet on set. Everyone needs to be silent. You know, if you're doing room tone, everything needs to be silent. I was working on a university project, and we called quiet for room tone. You want to have room tone. Room tone or Atmos recording is, you know, about a minute, 30 seconds to a minute of just recording nothing but the tone in the room, which is important because it fills in the gaps when you take out parts of the recording of actors talking. You don't have this massive sort of silent gap. in between, you can hear a difference. You know, like in this room, we've got a fan on the computer and stuff like that. I don't know if it can come through with the microphone.
Yeah,
you can hear that sort of stuff, and
I can hear it outside my speakers, but it usually doesn't come through at the final recording.
Yeah, when you're using things like boom mics and stuff like that, it can pick up stuff from a long way away, and you got that sort of sound. And if you cut that out, it's like shh, shh, and it's important to have room tone to fill in those gaps.
Noise.
I digress.
Yeah.
So we called quiet on set for room tone. And then the producers yelling, carrying on, like having a good time, carrying stuff from one area to another. And I full on went out and went, shh, because we're recording room tone. And she just looks at me, smiles, and then sort of drops everything. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, you know, things need to be done properly. And it reflects badly on other people's work if it's not done properly. And, you know.
And you've got so many people, even on a short film, it could be a commercial, you know, music video. There's a lot of people to be in control of, and if they're not paying attention to what's going on, then you know that can cause delays and all sorts of problems.
Everything's strictly done to a schedule because you've got to get people in and out at a certain time. You're only allowed in a certain location for a certain amount of time, and if you go over that sort of boundary, then you know it reflects bad on you. And filmmaking is all about making contacts and being in the good books so you can get discounts on things because you are spending money to do this sort of stuff. Hoping to get money back with marketing. With marketing if you're filming, getting it out there. And like the whole thing about having the order is that everything is planned like really specifically to a T beforehand, so it runs like clockwork when you're there.
That's right.
And if you have people coming in and cutting across different departments being like, oh, why don't you try this idea, or this idea is better, do this idea instead, on set when it's already been planned beforehand, it can throw that clockwork out of whack, and it really grinds people's gears. It's always good to stick within your department and respectfully, you know, if you want to do it to a side or something like that, but you know, whoever's department it is, they're always at liberty to go back to what's been planned, what's been decided on, what everything is revolving around.
Oh, absolutely. And we were hoping on the fact that if we were ahead of schedule, then we could do our wish shots.
Oh, yeah.
The shots that you go, well, we don't necessarily need them, but to give yourself at the end, when you're doing post, when you're doing editing, and going, geez, I wish I'd shot that bit of insert would have gone well here. But that was only the wish list of if everything went well. And as you say, you can't mess with what's been structured. Otherwise, you'll end up at the end of the shoot going, I didn't know, I only got half my film shot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't get me started on that. Oh, my God.
But we only had a weekend. I structured it around a weekend, 2 days. Would bump in on the Friday, get all the crew to their accommodations and whatnot. And if there was time to come out onto set and to discuss things further, we're going to do it from here. We're going to set up. We had several rehearsal days, but none with the full crew. It was mainly just the actors, myself and the producer, and then we would go through blocking shots and
so
planning.
Was the director and the DOP and the gaffer there, like the director, the director of photography, which is the cinematographer, and the gaffer, the lighting electrician.
No,
they weren't there.
They weren't there.
Okay.
It was a case of getting people together, but at the end of the day, you sometimes these things don't work out.
Yeah, so then you got to sort of have it on paper, don't you, and sort of have meetings before.
Exactly. Had meetings, certainly went down to Melbourne several times and spoke with the DOP about how we were going to shoot it. I do remember him wanting to put in extra shots, which were quite dynamic shots, and I'm like, oh, we're going to have time to do that? Because, he wanted some extreme cinematic shots, which I'm like, oh, could we do that?
Yeah.
I kind of got sucked.
Did you have a nominated first assistant director, someone who's actually doing scheduling and keeping everything on track? Or did you sort of take over that part as
I
well?
pretty much took over that. I know. My hands were full.
Oh, God.
But I did have what I thought certainly a good producer, and he helped me. What would have been a $10,000 shoot, it ended up being a $5,000
That's pretty good. That's
shoot.
pretty good. You got things for half price.
Yeah, because
that's a win.
he was a student, but he was also working in the industry.
Yeah, that's good.
He was
That's
able
pretty
to
impressive.
get
Student and working in the industry.
Yeah. So he certainly got a lot of discount of things. Plus, what gave me the advantage was the fact that people liked the script and what it was about, and that I had a known actor in it as well.
Yeah.
They thought it was something, could be something special, but in the end, it didn't work out. But certainly been looking at other projects, but being in a situation where it can affect your family life a lot.
It can. The stress does get to you, and you are away from home quite a few times. When I was on the XPM, it's minimum 10 hours. For television in Australia, minimum 10-hour work days. You can get up to 12 hours. I was doing this student project, which is the same one where the producer was talking and stuff during room tone. I was the first AD on that one. We were trying to get everything, like schedules and everything like that, into this allotment of time to shoot in the evening and nighttime, shoot a party scene. And we were shooting exterior at night. We had 3 pages to do, shooting an hour. And I wanted to stress with the DOP and the director that it could be done in that time. They said, yeah, could be done in that time. We got there, everything had been rehearsed, ready to go. We're ready to shoot our first wide angle and then move on to the next, resetting and doing the same thing over and over again for the whole run through. So we have enough coverage of everything to play with within the edit suite, and we thought that was the most efficient way that we could do it. And it would have been good if the production designer didn't come up to me just as we're about to start shooting and told me that we needed half an hour in between takes to do refills of our fake alcohol drinks and fake cigarettes and relight them and re-roll them and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh God, we're going to run so far overtime. We ended up running 3 hours overtime, and we got about 4 hours sleep before the next thing. And like people don't realize, that's what happens on set. People end up sleeping in cars and stuff like that. There's this big thing happening in the industry now because I'm pretty sure a crew member has died from lack of sleep. They're falling asleep behind the wheel, working ridiculous hours and having to travel long distances.
Yeah.
People don't realize that it is a hard industry to work in.
It sure is. It's not the glitz and glamour unless you've got a big studio behind you, or
if you play your cards right and you're smart and selfish is a big thing. Then you'll get pretty far.
And belief and determination, which is sometimes hard to come by.
Yeah. No.
But the secret for a lot of filmmakers is the fact that they had some sort of self belief that it was going to happen. They didn't know necessarily exactly how it was all going to fulfill, but in the end, sometimes it works for them, sometimes it doesn't.
And you'll find if you're heading a project, a lot of people look for inspiration from the person that has the most drive in it, which may often be will often be the person that is pushing the idea, the one that's thought of the idea and is trying to get everyone together and stuff like that. And if you don't have that drive, then people aren't going to have that drive. They'll lack morale. There's a lot of primal sort of leadership skills that come into that. I cannot state enough how important it is to keep your head high and make sure that everybody has confidence in the project. Because otherwise they will lose confidence and they'll think, I'm putting my career on the line with this project. Do I really want my name with it? And people will probably end up walking out, which is never a good thing. No,
that's right. And it does happen. But anyway, James, we could talk like this all day.
Oh, hell yeah.
We could. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you.
Oh, same here.
I really do appreciate it. This is probably my 3rd official show for Dave FM. I would like there to be many more, but it's it comes down to that time, passion, and the need to do it. And a lot of the times that is one big key: the need. Do you really need to do this? And you have to know the reasons why you're doing it.
It's a labour of love.
It's
it
right.
really is.
Yeah, fantastic. And good luck with having a LARP.
Thank you very much.
Which is going to be screened at the Shepparton Shorts this Friday. Okay, at the... what's the centre called?
Macintosh Pavilion.
Macintosh Pavilion. That's correct. Yeah, and tickets are available at Riverlinks. So if you're in the Shepparton area, get yourself a ticket and go see some incredible work by some talented filmmakers. And I've been to several of them, and you can meet so many interesting people.
It's a great opportunity to network, and if people like your film, they might consider signing you on. Going to festivals is a great way to get out there, great way to showcase your work, great way to meet like-minded people, and who knows what doors can open. You never know unless you try.
That's exactly right. Good words to close the show. Thank you again, James, and if you'd like to subscribe to Dave FM, please do, and take care. Until next time, bye.